Are you kidding me?
You are looking live.
Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. It is Tuesday, June the 9th. This is Winning Cures Everything. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And there ain't nothing going on in the world of sports, brother. Ain't a thing happening. Now, I will say, we did have big news this morning. You know, obviously, UFC stuff. We're going to talk about that. But after that, I didn't see a damn thing that was worth discussing today. So, that's going to let us get into our vault a little bit. We like to jump in and, you know, discuss some college football questions here and there, stuff that we just put away into a little Google document, and we pull it back up from time to time, so that's what we're going to do today. The show, as always, brought to you by Tunica, Mississippi, the South's premier sports gambling destination. You can find more information on them over at tunicatravel.com. They got 6 wonderful sports books. We cannot stress this enough. They are open, and they are phenomenal. It's good stuff. So make sure you go and check them out, tunicatravel.com. All of the policies and procedures and whatnot to make sure that everybody stays safe while they are open. But the sports books and the casinos are open. They are ready for business. Make sure that you jump out there and go see our brothers down in Tunica, Mississippi. We are found over at winningcureseverything.com. It's very easy, winningcureseverything.com. All the picks, previews, podcasts, videos, social media platforms. You can subscribe to the show, one, at any of your favorite podcast apps, because it goes right up immediately after, or at any of the places that you see on your screen, which would be YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, or, what am I missing? Facebook. The chat is already up and rolling. We've got Ben that jumped in, Matt jumped in, Damian Estrada jumped in, and Michael all in from Twitch and YouTube right now. So we're waiting on the Facebook crew and the Periscope crew to dive in today. Yeah, big stuff going on, of course. Oh, and make sure you share the show out. That's actually what I'm trying to do right now. It's why I'm such a mess. It's been a bit of a strange day. Chris, how has your day been, by the way? We hadn't even talked today.
No, we haven't. Today was a tough day of work. But that's all right. Made it through it. Put my nephew to work today for the first time ever.
How old is your nephew?
He did a great job. 16 years old, sitting at home, bored, nothing else to do. I needed an extra hand of cleanup, and I was pretty proud of the way he worked. This young boy is learning to work.
Well, I can get down with that. So you got to teach them early. I understand how that works. For those that are watching on Facebook, I just shared it back out on the wrong account. So don't kill me. I can't get this thing figured out how to share it correctly for whatever reason. So
just click share button on the bottom.
Well, yeah, but it keeps pulling up the Winning Cures Everything thing instead of my personal Facebook, and I don't know what's going on. So either way, I mean, we'll get it figured out eventually. But good gracious, that's just ridiculous. All right, so enough about that. I'll try and share it out again here in just a little bit. First topic of the day. There we go. Michael said, "Teach the youth the value of a buck." Good job, Chris. Yeah,
he's learning. He's learning, and he did awesome too, man. Woo!
Well, I can get down with that. I mean, obviously that's a wonderful thing. Let's go on and jump into some actual news today. UFC Fight Island is legit. It is actually happening. It is going down, and they announced where it is. They released some pictures of it, all that kind of stuff. It is at the United Arab Emirates. It's at Yas Island. I believe that's how you say it. I didn't hear anybody say it. The Brown Yeti jumps in. He said, hey. Ben said, did you ask your nephew if he knows what capping is?
I did not. I could have asked him. He probably would have told me.
There you go. Josh said, keep up the hard work on Facebook. So we got our Facebook bunch in here, but
good.
Man, I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's just, it's very frustrating. My app ain't working. All right, UFC. Legit happening. Fight Island is a real thing. It is going down. They are doing UFC 251 there, and they have 3 title bouts that are going to happen on that pay-per-view July 11th. Kamaru Usman against Gilbert Burns, because they couldn't get the stuff done with Jorge Masvidal. Up comes the next guy, right?
Yep.
Not the fight everybody wants, but it should still be interesting. Burns, of course, didn't knock out, but beat Woodley not that long ago. You know, that should be a good one. You've got a featherweight title rematch between Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway, pretty good name, and he's entertaining as hell to watch. So that should be fun. And then Peter Yan will take on Jose Aldo for the vacant bantamweight championship. That means Henry Cejudo is officially done. He ain't coming back. They are going to give the belt to somebody else. This could be interesting. None of these fights that were announced have any of the major players that we talked about. And that is disappointing, but I think they did a good job with stacking the card to make it something that, one, everybody's going to want to watch to see what Fight Island looks like anyway, right?
I mean, so.
It's on the beach.
I'm intrigued now.
And then on top of that, you know, they're doing fight nights as well immediately after. They've got one on the 15th, they've got one on the 18th the week after, and then another one on the 25th. All of those will be at Fight Island. So obviously here we go. Damian said UFC starting to look like WWE having a show in India. Well, look, they've done a fight on Yas Island before. Like, they've done that. So this one's just going to be a little different with no crowd. They have done a ton of stuff globally. They've always been a global company. I mean, the last fight night that you had before the pandemic stuff was in Brazil. I mean, they do fights overseas and in different countries all the time because the actual roster is full of guys that are global.
I heard a podcast today. I don't know when it was filmed or recorded, but I listened to a podcast today, and a guy talked about how the UFC has done such a better job than any other major sport in America of being global.
Oh, yes.
And they really have. Like, we're trying to get basketball globalized, and we're trying to globalize football a little more and get into other countries, and baseball, the same thing. None of them have been nearly as successful at drawing in large sums of fans than UFC has.
Yeah. No, it's pretty remarkable how they do it.
I will tell you this. I think that's where Dana White got his money. When Dana White got paid as much as he got paid to buy the UFC, it was because they saw global dollars, not American dollars.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and that
100%.
puts you in a completely different stratosphere.
Yeah, it's definitely different. That's the biggest thing. It is a different deal. And that's partly why they had to make sure that they were able to get this thing up and running. He's done a better job of making sure that they stay running during the pandemic. The best they can, yes. Yeah, they have kept live sports going, and it's remarkable to me, really, that they are capable of doing this. I mean, it's not common. Nobody else has been able to do this. The NBA isn't coming back until the end of July, really August.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say, it's really August. Yeah.
So, and this is different, but the NBA, everybody is. Matt said, "Gary, move your mouse down. It's in your eye." Yeah, I had it over here on the article. Excuse me. Here,
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't know that it's different, man. I really don't. Like, is it more people? Sure, it is. I think it's a different breed of, and this is not calling NBA guys soft. This is not that at all. These guys are professional athletes. They take a beating. They bang their bodies. They put work in. They are freakish athletes, okay? Not calling them soft at all. It's a different mindset to play basketball and be great at basketball than it is to be a fighter, okay? Fighter, I assure you, these fighters, the majority of them did not grow up washing their hands before they ate dinner, okay?
Yeah.
And I would bet that 90% of these NBA players, you walk in mama's kitchen, you wash your damn hands. That's just part of it. I've been in those homes. I was raised in one of those homes. It's just a different way of life. And and maybe I'm wrong. I've listened to stories from fighters, and they've got grit. They've got just a little bit of rust on the side of them that makes them, a little bit dirtier than everybody else, and just don't seem to be the germaphobes that other people could be. I don't know that you could be a fighter and be a germaphobe. I don't know that that's possible. If you could do that. Could you roll around and somebody's sweat dripping in your eyes, in your mouth, bleeding in your face? I don't know that that's possible. And you're sweat to sweat. Your shoulder and your arms and your hands are all over another guy's sweaty ass in basketball, but their sweat's not getting in your mouth. Okay.
I'm sure it does
not getting in your eyes, and it's just a little different. I think you couldn't do it without the fighters. No, and the reason the NBA is as long as it's been, I fully believe it's because of the players. The players are trying to make sure
that everything is safe, et cetera.
They want it to be extra safe, and I think these fighters say, a little safe is fine.
Well, the other side of this is, UFC has had stuff going on for a good bit now, and they've got guys from all over the globe that are flying in play. Like, they are able to travel. They are making it happen one way or another. NBA, MLB, everything else. Like, obviously, UFC has got money issues right now dealing with some of the biggest stars that they've got on the roster, but they're putting on fights. They're making this stuff happen, and they are coming up with entertaining matchups. And that's the biggest thing, right? You want to give people something to watch, but you don't want them to watch trash. Like, this has to be a showcase right now.
The card, what was it, last weekend? The card that I could care less about.
Yeah, 250.
You shared out a couple of knockout. I went back and I rewatched all those fights.
Yeah.
That was a card that I could have cared less about. It didn't matter to me. It didn't move the needle to me at all. Still ended up being really exciting, and they got my eyes somewhere.
Yeah,
because I had to figure out what's going on.
When you got guys like Sean O'Malley and you got guys like Cody Garbrandt, stuff like that, you're going to be able to draw some eyeballs with that. So that's the thing. They got to keep entertaining fights going in order to keep people interested in this thing. Like, that's the biggest thing. The other big news that they came up with, they finally have a date for Cormier and Miocic 3, and that's going to be August 15th. It will be on Fight Island. So finally got that. That means, if this one goes, whoever wins this is the greatest heavyweight of all time, according to all the media people, right? I don't know that you
UFC
can say,
legend and lord.
I don't know that you can say DC would be the greatest heavyweight ever because he wasn't always a heavyweight. Like, he moved up in class to fight Stipe and then beat him and then lost to him. And now if he beats him again, because Stipe, I think a lot of people claim that he's probably the best heavyweight of all time.
I think so. I'm a little biased in that, but I think so.
Yeah. So I think, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the most recent fight on Yas Island, by the way, was back in September. It was Nurmagomedov, Khabib, and Dustin Poirier. So they've had big fights before. They will continue to have big fights here. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we want, some of these bigger names, but tossing in DC and Stipe for August, I'm in. I'm in. So UFC will have had like 8 or 9 events by the time the NBA comes back. That just blows my mind. Blows my mind. All right, let's jump off of that one. And let's dive into a college football question, comment, whatever, just a topic to hit on. The question that I had written down was, what is the downside of having a G5 playoff to go along with the college football playoff? I don't know that there is a downside here, but the way that I would set it up would be you do the G5 playoff, and if a G5 team were to get into the actual 4-team playoff, which I think is going to